One of the absolute most important things that you can do when you have a buyer that you are working with as a real estate agent is to have automated property alerts set up that kind of match what they're looking for and possibly expand what they're looking for just a little bit depending on the buyer. And yet I was talking to a couple of fairly experienced agents just the other day, people who have been in the business for multiple years and have closed transactions, and I was shocked to learn that they don't have auto searches set up for properties that buyers are looking for. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about how I use auto searches in my business and kind of the power of what can happen with these auto searches. Let's talk about the importance of having an automated property search set up for your buyers. I had a longtime client the other day that as I open up my CRM and I'm looking at, what's happening, I got an alert that said these people were looking at properties. Now, this is somebody that had moved to my area from California. I had referred them to another agent in 2 different areas of California, got referral fees from those properties. They bought a property with me here in Utah, got money from that. They referred one of their kids to me. I mean, this is a client that knows me and has a level of trust for the work that I do. I saw that they popped up and had started browsing properties on my site again. Now, this is from a long-running search. Years ago, they told me, someday we'd like to buy an investment property. Timing's just not right. And I said, hey, let's set up an occasional search. And I set it up, and I think it was dripping properties to them maybe once a month. Not often, but it was kind of a targeted area that's pretty hot for investments in my area. And so they popped in, got this email, clicked on a property, started browsing a property. So I called them up and basically just said, hey, just wanted to touch base with you, see what you guys are doing. How's your family? I know your daughter's in grad school. How's that going? And kind of talked about the 4 elements: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And then I just said, I'm making some calls to my clients and friends. Real estate has been tumultuous over the last couple of years, ups and downs and hot and cold. And I said, I just want to check in with you and see if you have any thoughts of real estate over the next 12 months. And she said, that is so funny that you called me. My husband and I were just browsing properties last night. And I'm thinking, yeah, I know. That's why I called you. And she said, we really are interested in buying that investment property we talked about. We had a great conversation. Now they're one of my hot, active buyers. I've got more detailed searches set up. We've changed timing and things. But it gave me an opportunity to have a conversation about what they're thinking about. And if I didn't have a property search set up that was just occasionally dripping them properties, when they get interested, they would have gone to Zillow, they would have gone to RedFin, they would have gone to one of the other real estate sites, possibly put their information in and got snatched by another agent. I never would have known. So it's vital to have these searches set up. So let's talk about what I do, how I do it, what my process is. I'll show you some screenshots of what I'm doing and kind of the theory behind it. So first off, when you're setting up a new automation, I use a CRM that's called Chime, but there's a lot of good CRMs out there, Follow Up Boss and others that are very, very popular. KV Core, I've used that a little bit in the past. It was okay. I haven't really loved any of the big brokerage stuff, like Keller Williams put out Command. That was kind of a flop. There's some older ones like Top Producer, don't even go there anymore. They've gotten kind of lazy with their innovation, but there's Lion Desk and there's others. But I get them set up in my CRM when a new buyer comes in. And so there's a couple of places that I get new buyers. Occasionally it'll be a referral. Friend or past client calls up and says, hey, my son wants to buy a property, and so I'll call them and have a conversation with all of their information, right? Occasionally on my yard signs, when I have a listing, I have a QR code that they can scan to get more information about the property, to see interior pictures and things like that. That will have them register on my website. I do a lot of social media posts and video work and things like that people come in. Anytime I put something out publicly, like a yard sign or a Facebook post or something like that, I always set up a landing page within my CRM that as they come in and hit that, if they register, my CRM tags them and says, here's what they were interested about. For example, one of my favorite social media posts is, are you looking to downsize? Another one that I really love is, are you tired of the stairs kind of a post? Let's get you a single story house, because that often identifies people that are both a seller and a buyer. But so as they come in, they hit this automated system that comes from the landing page. It gives them a tag, and in the background, I have it set up with an automated property alert that has properties similar to what they were looking at. If it's a yard sign on a property for a townhome, they're going to get an auto search set up that has townhomes in the area, similar size, things like that. If it's a social media post about downsizing, they're going to get properties that are single story homes in the area where the post was targeted and things like that. So a lot of my searches are auto set up, and I'll do a video about how to set that up and what I do with that. Sometimes I have a lead that's in my database. Maybe they have an old search running and they've been around for 2 years or 3 years. I just had a buyer pop up that was 4 years old. That had been in my system, and I had a little search running for them. I can go into my system and look at the types of properties they're browsing. So I've got a lead set up here, Micah Olson, great name, by the way. I just set myself up as a dummy lead, and I went in today, logged into my site, and started just clicking around on properties. So this will generate an alert for me in my CRM that says, hey, this guy was, popped back to your site. He hasn't been on the site for 30 days and he just showed up, and he looked at multiple properties, and he looked at one property 3 times, and it kind of weights different activities and then sends me notifications and alerts. So I'll come in and I'll look at a client like this, and the first thing that I do in my CRM is I go to the views. What have they been looking at? And I kind of try to analyze, what they're thinking of, what they're looking at with, area and size and price and things like that. So right here we've got, this certain city in every single one. We've got a fairly tight price range. I mean, we're 800 to 1.1, and then there was this weird property. That was the first one that this lead viewed, was a super cheap property. That'll catch anyone's attention. I think our median property price right now in my area is about $450, and so they see a property that gets emailed to them for $320, and they think, oh wow, that's amazing. But then after that, I can kind of see a trend of what they're interested in, what they're browsing. So I'll take these properties and I'll look at the area, and I'll go in and create a customized search for them that's around that area, around that price range. I'll look for commonalities, as I'm clicking on these properties. How big of a yard, how many bedrooms, what style of home, and I'll try to find commonalities that match up between the properties. Now, when I'm going in to set this search up, if I haven't had contact with them and I don't know that this is a hot buyer, I'm not going to set up a search that instantly, when a property is listed that matches their search, it shoots them an email, and they might be getting 4 or 5 emails a day. That's too much. If I don't know about their timing, I like to set it up to happen 3 to 4 times a week. I'll do a Sunday morning, and then I like to do a Monday afternoon, because I kind of feel like people, they go back to work, they're sitting in the office, they've had a long day on Monday, they're kind of like needing to unwind, and they get an email that says, hey, here's these new properties. I get a lot of click through on that. Then I do a Wednesday afternoon, just middle of the week, and then I like to do a Friday afternoon, burnt out, through the week. A lot of my searches happen on Friday afternoons. Once I know, once I've gauged their interest and their timing, I'll change that up based on their timing. And then I get this search set up, and I have a very specific way that I title it. I take the area that I think they're interested in, and so in this case it would be Orem, and I would say Orem area homes. And then I'll put a couple pieces of information. I might put 800K plus, or I might look and say, okay, under 2 million. I'll figure out some type of pricing for that. And then if there's something else that's very common, like a big yard, I might say with a large yard. And then I say, for and their name. So this would say for Micah Olson. Then I always put by and put my name, which Micah Olson, but by, and then put your agent name and my phone number. And so the subject line in this email might say Orem homes for sale, Orem area homes for sale under 1.3 million for Micah Olson by Micah Olson, and then my phone number 801 blah 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 blah. The reason I put my phone number in there is I'm going to be calling and texting them down the road, and I want them to recognize that number. They might not go, oh, that's the guy that's sending me email alerts, but they'll see the number and they'll know they've seen it before somewhere. And so it gives me a higher answer rate with my calls. And then what I do, whenever there's an alert that's targeted or a new buyer that comes in, I give them a call. I'll have another video that talks about speed to lead and the conversion percentages of a client based on the call time. But it's important to get with them quickly. And I try to call them twice within the first 2 minutes. I don't leave a message on the first call. Hey, if they don't answer, hang up, call back. And see if I can get them on the phone. If I don't get them on the phone, I send a text message that just says, hey, this is Mike, I just left you a message, when can you chat? I get a lot of response to that. And then I'll give them a call, so then they get the property auto alert. They get a video email from me explaining how the site works, how to save properties, how to share properties, how to log in if they're coming from a different device. Look right here and it says already have an account, log in here. And so it's kind of an explanatory email. And then I'll try to call them back 3 days later. I do leave a message on that call and I'll say, basically, hey, this is Micah Olson calling. Thanks, you came and were visiting my site from a Facebook post that I did about single-story homes in Utah County. Just calling as a courtesy, and kind of go into whatever my MOFR is. You've probably heard me say that before, an offer for immediate response. So we've got a great property that's not on the market yet you might be interested in, or there's this amazing new loan program and rates are down at this range, or whatever my offer is, and give me a call back. Okay, now, sometimes, depending on the temperature of the lead, I will have those alerts carbon copied to myself as well. So I've got a list right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buyers that I consider hot, like in the car when we find the property, we're ready to buy, they're approved, they're in contact with me. Those people, any alerts that they get, I get CC'd on, and I look at the properties and match them up against what I know about the client, and then I'll call them or text them if a property matches and just say, hey, Ruth, there's an amazing property, it matches everything that you want except it doesn't have, whatever. But I think this could be a good property. Do you want to go take a look? That is how I handle buyers. The value of these searches is vital. It's so important. I was looking back at my database. I don't have a huge database. I've got about 6,600 people in my database, but I've been doing my searches this way for probably 3 years, and I'm sending out over 15,000 property alerts every month right now with an open rate of over 40%. So that is a lot of people coming back to my website looking at properties, and with the right CRM, I can track all of that activity. I can look at everything they're doing. It gives me alerts, based on, if they haven't been to the site and they all of a sudden show back up, if they look at a certain property a certain number of times, if they save a property, if they use a mortgage calculator, and I can tailor my calls. And it all funnels out of these property alerts that I set up the very first time. And it makes for an easy phone call. Hey, Bob, this is Micah Olson. You and I chatted about 1.5 years ago. You were kind of talking about buying a property in Utah. I just thought I'd give you a call. Did you ever find a house? Yes or no? No? Okay, cool. Do you have plans still? Is that still something that you want to do? Seems like when we talked all the way back then, you had bought a dog and you were hoping to find a fenced yard. How's that working for you? Oh no, I still want that. And you can have a great conversation that comes up that I call these people. I don't just go through and call 5,600 people in my database and I mean, that would take forever. I'm calling people that I know that they've been back on my site, and I'm not calling and saying, hey, I was stalking you, and I know that you got on my site yesterday night at 11 p.m. and looked at 3 different properties and saved this one. But you just have a conversation with them, and it makes for an easy phone call with purpose that's meaningful and will really help you keep a great pool of buyers that are active and ready to go.